Guy, amazing relationship with his boss, very tight, but the work was brutal. And he started burning out and he started having kids. And so he looked and found another job. Told his boss he was leaving, and his boss is like, you can't leave. You're the guy. I will pay you $100,000 more. And jumped his salary by $100,000. And he stayed for another 2 years. And then he began burning out again. What would you advise this person to do?
Back when he was leaving, or back now that he's burning out again?
Now that he's burning out again. He's your client. He's already got to burn out once, but $100,000 rejuvenated him. And he took some time off.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine.
Yeah, some time
because money alone isn't going to rejuvenate
some time off,
you.
The money, a recommitment to the relationship with his boss. And then more or less a year or so later, a little bit longer, maybe 16, 17 months later, he started to get burnt out again.
And did you identify the factors that were burning him out?
Yeah, he didn't want to let his boss down. They were extraordinarily tight. They built this thing up into a decent enterprise together. And then with the extra money, he felt like, I'm getting paid for some of this.
I mean, so the things on the ground didn't change. He's fundamentally still an incredibly important part.
Yep.
And so, I mean, my question is, under what conditions can you exist here and not burn out? Because he has the he has a boss who wants to keep him. He has the leverage. And it sounds like he definitely has a tight connection to the boss, but he probably, because he helped build it, also has a tight connection to the organization where to some degree he feels like it's his baby.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's just a conversation about like two motivated people who want him to stay, and it's constructing the conditions that will allow him to continue on. And that may be like hiring some new people. It may be some restructuring. It may be more time off. Well, it's probably a little bit of all those things.
Yeah.
But until he comes to like a decision about how he needs the job to change for it to be sustainable.
Yeah.
And I mean, like that happens when you're building a business. You're working all the time.
Yeah.
And you're doing all the different jobs. And so it's not unreasonable that they would get there at some point.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Before I could do anything, he took another job for a huge pay cut. That's probably 3 levels beneath him. And his boss, it basically blew up their relationship.
Yeah, because the boss is going to feel abandoned. And like, you've already tried this once, and I already told you how important you were. And then I wasn't important enough to have you try.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he gave back all the money and more. Not gave back, but, you know, he was making this and he went back to this. He went back to less than he was making before.
And wow.
But the job is, he traded it all for quality of life. And that was before.
I don't think he had to make that trade, though.
I agree. But sometimes, you know, as you know, in this work, you don't catch them.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes people get a read for how we might react, and they're going to pull the trigger before. So they don't have to listen to us.
I think the lesson is I've had this conversation a couple times with people, is when you know you have a problem with somebody, you know, everybody plays it out in their brain.
Yeah.
And it's good to play it out in your brain because that's part of preparing.
Yeah.
Although, like, you could try to play it out with somebody real, even if they're not in the situation. Like, you could practice with somebody. It doesn't have to all go on in your brain. But you have to be careful that you don't flip into not only practicing, but negotiating like the person is there. Because I've seen, like, so let me give you an example. I have a friend, and a long time ago, before she was married, she decided, she had a long-term boyfriend, and she decided she went to go visit a friend far away and was like wowed by the place and made a decision in her head. She wanted to live in place A because she'd been wowed by it, but had a conversation in her head about how that was going to play out with her boyfriend because he wouldn't want to go to place A. Right. And so she came up with a compromise where they would where she would move to place B on her own. And so
it'd be easier to see the boyfriend?
Yes, easier to see the boyfriend, and somehow thought that she needed to be independent. So anyway, I get a call after because she's negotiated this whole thing in her head and then called the boyfriend and told him what she was going to do, move to this place by herself, and then in a year, like, be back together. And he breaks up with her, and I get the call, and she's telling me everything that happened. I'm like, yeah, you negotiated and he wasn't there.
Right.
So all he sees is that you made a demand and a decision.
Yeah.
And by the way, and so this person is very independent, it's been all over the world. I was like, and by the way, like, what's this where you have to move by yourself? Why can't you move somewhere together and find a place that you'd both be happy moving together that would work for both of your careers? Like, how much do you have to do to actually establish the fact that you're independent?
Yeah.
You know, who knows? But they did get back together. They did move to some place jointly. That was different. And then they did get married. So I think I was helpful.
Yeah, very interesting.
So anyway, that's what I hear in that is somebody who had a negotiation in his head.
Yeah.
And like, you're not going to get that right.
Yeah, they never negotiated the essential issue, which is, this is killing me.
Yeah, this job is not structured well.
It's killing me.
At this point.
Yeah. I'm having more kids now. I've already given my push. It helped us go from here to here. You want to keep going, but I can't. I've done my push. I'm tired. Yeah. Okay, good. Stump the consultant. 2 people who did not like each other.
Oh boy.
Basically, I don't know that this is relevant, but all women. So 2 women did not like each other. The boss was a woman. She needed to promote one of these 2 people so that they were going to actually be peers.
They weren't peers already?
No, one was like a rank down, but they didn't like each other. And so now that they were going to be basically on the leader's key executive team, so we're elevating one. And the antagonist initially was the person they were elevating. And so the CEO asks, how do I have to bring this person up? What she knows is essential for where we're going in this kind of next phase of the business. How do I do this and try to eliminate guaranteed friction between these 2 people?
Okay. People know how to behave when they want to behave. And so I don't know exactly the timing on this, but knowing that this is the person that they want to elevate, my first thing would probably be to have a conversation with them about how, if they would like to be elevated, they have to demonstrate leadership, social skills.
That's it.
Or they're not going to get this position. And so they need to work it out with that person.
Yep. Yeah, we made the CEO. We made the promotion contingent on burying the hatchet with this other person. And
seeing it buried for a little bit.
Yeah, like, we want you for this job. Do you want it? It's a promotion. Here's how much more pay you're going to get. Here's the new title. You're going to be part of the executive team. Yes, I want it. Okay, there's only one catch. What's that? You have to bury the hatchet with this other person. Can you do that? I can do that. All right. And I forget what we gave him, like 2 or 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're going to give this to you, but it's probationary for 3 months. And if you don't want it after 3, you can go back. No harm, no foul. You're not losing your job in the company. You can have the other one back. And if this relationship isn't better, then you don't get this promotion.
Then you go back.
Yeah. And I think we gave her 90 days, but fixed it.
Amazing.
We took coaching. And so we coached, I coached her but it was very straightforward. Like, I was like, all right, do you want to do this? Yes, I want this job. I got to eat this medicine to get the job. And I gave her a couple tips, help her structure the conversation. And she was the primary antagonist. So she went to bury the hatchet. And the other person was more than happy to make it end. Because the other person was already up there and didn't have the same underdog stakes in this conflict.
Sure, that other person could have been a real pill.
Yep. Yeah.
So I give them credit for actually being willing to bury the hatchet.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hadn't thought about this until we're talking about it now. Another element is these three people were all very good. And so there's this recognition of, we may have had conflict. I may not have liked you, but I know you can do your job. Because in cases where people can't do their job, that's an irritant.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But you really probably shouldn't have had the conflict anyway. There's we differentiate between conflict being interpersonal versus being task-based.
Yep, sure.
And, I know there's lots of interpersonal that goes on in an organization, but you have to be around people all the time that you don't personally like.
Yeah. I see what
you
you're
don't
saying.
have to always vocalize that.
Yeah.
Really conflict should be down to task conflict because you're relying on them to get something done and it's not getting done. And, there's plenty of task conflict to go around. The fact that it's personal conflict is immature,
Okay.
not disciplined.